Peace and understanding, family. Today is February 24th, 2025. On this day, we laid to rest a legend, a man who has been different things to different people, definitely played a role in my formative years and adolescence, helping guide me through the rubric of life, even though in my youth I may have not understood his positions then. But moving forward as a man and in subsequent life, understanding through discussion with him and always giving a teachable moment, I understand now Coach Brown's motives. Today his funeral services were held. Former players came, alumni, capital, co-workers, and everybody gave a unique perspective on what Roosevelt Teddy Brown meant to them. Coach Albert Charles Turner gave some eloquent comments on how Coach Brown mentored him, how Coach Brown actually was his teacher at McKinley Jr. In addition to that, Calvin Nicholas spoke about his time being involved with Coach Brown as an athlete. He alluded to Coach Booker, Coach Ron Brown, etc., all those who were on the athletic department at McKinley. Again, this is a day that resonates very deeply for all of us who are part of the McKinley family. It is a day that most of us will probably never forget, especially those who Coach Brown touched their lives. This man was a fixture in our culture, in our legacy. His work as a coach is impeccable. And it was also good to see Capital alumni speak in volumes about his role growing up, going to Eden Park Elementary and all those things. That was good to hear. The love, the outpouring of love and the compassion that was given to Coach Brown, again, speaks volumes to the type of man that he is. His family, his offspring, had an opportunity to speak with his nephew at the repast. He shared some things with me as well about Coach Brown, some intimate things. And we don't often understand the complexities of individuals that may serve a particular role in our lives, like a teacher or instructor or professor. Oftentimes we look at them just as that, but they're humans. They're individual with lives outside of their job description, with lives that consist of other things that may be personal interests and aspirations. But we know Coach Brown. We know Coach Morris. We know Coach Turner. And we know them as that. And that is the image that is embedded in our minds about these individuals. So as I was reflecting on the plethora of memories that I have about Coach Brown, what he meant to me and to others that were former players that aspired to greatness, by no means am I trying to allude to the fact that I was some type of superior athlete. That is not the case. I was blessed to have an experience to come up through the McKinley system, and true legends like Calvin Nicholas, and he alluded to Mooney Cat, Freddie Foster, all these great athletes and players that were from the community. That was very poignant. But again, as I said, as I reflect and go down memory lane, I felt like it was relevant for me to again speak now about giving people their flowers when they're alive, recognizing their accomplishments and their goals and aspirations and what they've meant to us while they're here. Yes, it's deferential, and we pay homage when someone meets their unfortunate demise. And it is unfortunate. But let's work on trying to give your flowers while they're here. As I reflect, I remember some time ago when Dr. Herman Brister was the principal at McKinley, and he reached out to me, and we were talking about some historical perspective. He said, Johnson, I hear you know a lot about McKinley's history and South Baton Rouge and et cetera, et cetera. So we had a conversation about that, and he told me about his vision. And he was asking me about some of the movers and shakers, the legends of McKinley. So I began, and we really had a meeting of the minds. At that point, I began to explain to him the relevance and the importance of James Monroe Frazier. In fact, I think that I was instrumental in Mr. Brister putting the photographs of all the principals in the office. We talked at length about what James Monroe Frazier did, how he accomplished his goals, what he meant to the community. He was living within the community, how this man served as a principal, a teacher, and even did some janitorial work and donated monies from his own pocket. But I digress. So the vision that Mr. Brister said, well, hey, what do you think about maybe naming some of the buildings at the school similar to a college after those relevant people? Because I suggested that paying homage, and the initial, and it's ironic today, but the initial 2 points that I said, we should make the stadium Eddie Robinson Memorial Stadium. That should be the name of our football stadium. Secondly, I said that our gymnasium should be either one of two, and I'm sure those that went to McKinley won't disagree. The Carl Stewart Memorial Gymnasium and the Roosevelt Teddy Brown Court, just as Duke and all these other institutions of higher learning have a court named after a legendary coach. Fast forward some years now, and I see as I ride through the Glen Oaks neighborhood that Glen Oaks has named their gymnasium the Harvey Adger Gymnasium. I was like, well, wow. I guess they beat us to the punch on that one. But again, going forward, since we're talking about the development of a remodeled or restructured McKinley Senior High School, I think that should be one of the main objectives and goals from a nostalgia point of view. Of course, the infrastructure and the equipment and all those other nuances that come with the new school are important. I'm not saying that. But we should definitely pay homage to those movers and shakers at this new structure. We should definitely have an Eddie Robinson Stadium. We should definitely have a Carl Stewart Gymnasium, a Teddy Brown Court, a Johnny Cage band room, or a A.C. Carter band room. Carter is the gentleman who penned our alma mater, a former music teacher. Those types of things are reminiscent and show and illustrate the greatness of McKinley Senior High School and those individuals that were the vanguard, pushing forward to usher us into greatness. In closing, I was talking to a former classmate schoolmate rather. And he was like, man, you know, Teddy Brown this, Teddy Brown that. I said, well, yeah. I said, man, look, at the end of the day, reflect back on what it was like when we were growing up. Do you think it was easy to deal with us? It took that type of structure in place to deal with us, how society now has these catchphrases and names for society, millennium, Gen Z, Gen X, and yes, they had baby boomers, et cetera, et cetera. But us in particular, those type of men that were strong men and the backbone of communities, we needed that. We needed a Howard Marcellus. We needed a W.B. Breeder. We needed an Albert Charles Turner. We needed a Roosevelt Teddy Brown. We needed those type of men that were strong, hands-on. That was the structure that we needed to break us and mold us and develop us during our time period. So yes, Coach Brown has meant different things to different people. As I spoke to his wife at the repast, Miss Sylvia, I said, Miss Sylvia, it was an honor to be a student of your husband and a former player. And definitely, Coach Brown would be on my Mount Rushmore of greatness. Mount Rushmore is the statues of the 4 presidents in South Dakota. Coach Brown's face, image, and likeness would definitely be on my Mount Rushmore, along with a William Breeder and along with a Howard Marcellus. All 3 of those men were giants in the community. I'm open for the 4th. I really don't know, because there's so much other greatness that was there. Maybe someone after viewing this video from the school may want to chime in on who that 4th person would be. Or maybe you may have a different Mount Rushmore. But again, today has been a sad day. Let's focus on going forward. Again, Principal Robert Webb and other McKinley alumni, let's push to get and pay homage and show deference to those great trailblazers who loved and taught and strove for us in other years. Let's immortalize them and show that we are really true blue. Peace.